Cheers! Welcome to Movie Bitches, episode 138. Tonight we're reviewing Split.
The new M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, featuring James McAvoy.
He's the best part of this movie.
Absolutely. I had mixed feelings about this movie.
I also had mixed feelings about this movie.
So I actually kind of really liked this movie for like the first 80% of it.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And then the ending just really ruined it for me.
You just described nearly every M. Night Shyamalan movie in existence.
Sure.
We were like, but this build-up and tension is great. What the fuck just happened? Wait, this just became like a cartoon. What?
I thought there was going to be a twist in this one, and there really wasn't.
I mean, that's his cross to bear. I mean, not that M. Night Shyamalan needs advice from me, but I feel like what he really should have done is Sixth Sense right out of the gate, right? Like, bam, everyone loved it, crazy. He needed to do something opposite. I'm not doing twists anymore. I'm doing this totally other thing. Deal with it. Then there wouldn't be, like, he's literally just like the twist guy now.
Right,
like, he's
right.
that guy. And so it's always going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
Because you're expecting it, and they're all worse than the first twist.
Right. So, Split.
Split
is about
yes.
3 girls who get abducted by James McAvoy's character, who has multiple personality disorder. Although they call it something else. It's like DID.
Multiple personality disorder is now somewhat taboo.
Oh.
Not like bad, but like that's not what they call it anymore.
Oh,
it's called dissociative identity syndrome.
Or
I should have looked
maybe
this up,
not disorder,
but it's like
but something
dissociated identity.
Okay, gotcha. What? Okay,
shall we get into it? So Betty Buckley. I mean, her name came up on the screen and I was like, yes, Betty Buckley! I was so excited. She was fabulous.
Fabulous. And she also, what was really nice was that she was then like a really grounding, solid actor character.
Yes.
On the other side of things.
Yes.
That I was like, this is like a real movie.
Spoilers. We're going to talk about this.
I feel like it's just, like, we can't really talk about this movie without spoilers. So.
I would say maybe go see it if you were already thinking about seeing it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
if it's not scary.
It's a pretty interesting movie for the first bit.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So she's like a really good psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's... Like, I'm so sick of movies where psychiatrists are, like, terrible at their job, or, like, sleeping with their patients, or, like, things that, yes, happen, but, like, I want a really good one, right?
And she was
fantastic.
She was, like, because I kept being nervous that he was just going to, like,
Straight up murder her.
And she was like, I got you wrapped around my little finger.
She was just like, come play with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was actually really hoping that the ending of this movie was that she, like, solved his problems through psychiatry. Like, I was like, and then she broke through. And they let the girls go together. He went, obviously, to an institution. And, like, things were peacefully resolved through, you know, like, psychoanalysis. And I was like, yes, that's not really an entertaining movie, but I was, like, excited that might have happened.
The plot didn't make any sense. I mean, obviously, but, like, particularly because... her whole thing as a doctor is that...
Well, I mean, yeah, she made some lines that were very stupid work.
An individual with multiple personalities can change their body chemistry with their thoughts.
Right.
She's sort of like a quack in the world of... Because she believes that they are all really different and that they have physical things.
And, like, what you believe can become real.
Right.
And so it was like here, like, this guy is, like, big and strong, and this one is, like, young and weak.
This one's a 9-year-old, so he's not as strong.
Right,
you know.
or smart, and this one's really smart and whatever, and it's all compartmentalized in the different parts of the brain and whatever.
Yes.
And physically manifested, one has diabetes, the rest of them don't, whatever. I was like, cool, fine, whatever. But what was annoying was that in the end, her hypothesis was right, but it didn't pay off.
No, because she didn't. I really didn't want her to die. And I really didn't want him to kill her.
Exactly.
And I really didn't want that to be the ending.
Exactly.
And that's how it ended.
Yeah. Basically, he kills her.
Are we, like, getting to the end already? I feel like it's, like, real soon.
Well,
Because, like, whoa, the ending.
Yeah.
We'll back it up.
Okay.
We'll get there. We'll build to it.
Sure.
So he kidnaps these 3 young girls. The whole movie is sort of an allegory for, like, privilege in general.
Yes.
So there's...
Well, and it's also about, like, emotional damage. You know, like, that's really what I feel like what it's about. But yes.
Right, but
also,
people who don't have severe emotional damage are privileged. That they don't.
Yes,
right?
yes,
And,
exactly.
and they are less than, and they are not as strong, and they're not
Sure.
as equipped to deal with situations because
Right.
they haven't been through as much, right?
Is the message
and
of the
so
film.
2 of the girls are that.
These are
And the
whatever
main
weeks.
girl with big doe eyes, the antisocial, goth-ish, like emotionally damaged person who's equipped for this situation. Basically, a lot of things in this movie I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know.
It's funny though, now looking back, because I thought it was so weird. He gets in the car,
Yes.
and like they're on their phones or whatever, and they're like oblivious, and they're like, "Oh, mister, you're in the wrong car," which you saw in the trailer.
Yes.
But like she, the whole time is just kind of like in this weird like slow mode, like.
Well, so she absolutely could have gotten away.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, oh, the twist is going to be that that's like her brother.
Right.
Like, she's not in on it, but she knows him.
Sure, or something. Can I say Barry seems fabulous?
Barry is an extroverted leader.
Yes, I am.
Barry's basically Johnny Weir.
Yes.
I want to hang out with you.
Right?
So Barry's his main personality who holds the light, which means he's in control of the body. And it's all about, there's like a power grab with the OCD guy who's the big strong guy who also likes to watch young girls dance naked. And Patricia, who is fabulous. So at one point, one of his personalities is essentially Mrs. Doubtfire.
He's not allowed to touch you.
What was that line that she said?
She makes them sandwiches and she's like, it's good, isn't it? It's got paprika.
He really nailed this. Like,
I
was
really thought,
great.
based on the trailer, I really thought I was going to be laughing at his performance.
I know.
And he killed it. He
That's-
was so earnest.
And I think that was almost the problem for the movie for me.
Yes.
Was that he was so good at literally portraying all of these different people. That's why I was so disappointed by the end, because I was like, on his side, you know?
I wanted it to be a real movie. It was like, oh, this is like pseudoscience, but like a real look into psychology and what abuse does to people and how they cope with it.
Yep.
And I was like fully in, and then it was like nosedive.
Exactly, because I was like, well, how are they going to end this?
Yeah.
He's literally kidnapped these girls for like days.
Mm-hmm.
So like, even if it like de-escalates, he's gonna get in trouble. Like, there's no like
out.
Exactly.
Yes. Maybe James McAvoy's just too damn likable. I just never felt like he was really gonna hurt them.
No,
And
neither.
I feel like the movie didn't pull the trigger on there being actual
danger.
For whatever reason, I didn't think the movie was gonna go there, and it
Right.
didn't. I didn't love the like way mental illness was portrayed. That like people with mental illness is something we need to fear.
Right.
All the time,
Sure.
right? You know, that's sort of such a trope. Ooh, do we need to keep telling this story?
Right.
Like, they go right back to this trope of Sybil, abusive mother, wire hanger.
Yeah. What I liked about this was that it wasn't a disability. It wasn't a problem per se.
Betty Buckley's hypothesis is that multiple personalities might be the key to unlocking the brain.
Sure.
And
it's like the next step of evolution.
One personality can be X amount smarter than a different personality, how can we sort of figure out how to apply that? But there is the sense of like, you can be a superhero if your mom's a real asshole and abuses you. You know, like, there's a weirdness there.
Yeah.
I also wish, so like, he's the star, but really in the context of the characters in the story, I wanted it to shift and I wanted her to be the star. And I wanted her...
Wasn't she?
I mean, she doesn't confront her uncle who's abusing her. She just...
We'll talk about that.
That was weird. Like, so they're showing flashbacks of her as a child, you get the sense that she knows about the world. She's like, I know about some shit, right? Like, you get the sense.
Right.
And they slowly, over the course of the movie, sprinkle in these flashbacks, and you realize that her uncle is molesting her.
Right.
And that was actually really well done.
It was, like, really well done.
And really upsetting.
It was.
And, like, how it would happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh. Whoa.
Yeah.
But not in a graphic, I'm showing you,
No.
just in a, like, oh, breaks your heart,
Yeah.
oh, God, kind of way. And so I thought that was actually done very well, but then her arc falls off a cliff, too.
So in the end, she's, like, locked herself in this cage or whatever. It was confusing as to how that mechanics worked, but whatever. Anyway, so she's behind these bars, and the guy, like, already tried to eat her.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into that. But so then he sees that she has all of these scars all over her body.
Which appear out of nowhere.
Yes.
From shot to shot, it's, like, smooth, and then it's just, like, horrible, like, almost tribal markings.
Right, they were, like, really crazy, like, weird scars.
Like, patterned.
And I'm like,
scarred.
Where was she getting these scars from?
Or maybe
was
she
it
was
her
a
cutting
cutter?
herself? It was confusing.
It was unclear.
It was very unclear.
The message was clouded.
So he sees them, and he's like, oh, you've been through it. You're not pure. You're not, like, a naive, privileged bitch. Yes. Like, you're one of us.
You need to live.
Yeah.
You're more evolved.
Right,
because
whatever.
You've been abused. There was some weird messages in this movie.
Sure. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. He got it in, like, a second. He was like, oh, I see what's going on here. But then, like, the paramedics that, like, are tending to her bites and her leg and whatever.
Right.
No one was like, where'd you get these scars, young girl? Why did no one ask her, what's going on, dear? Are you okay?
Even if it has to be, she's in the ambulance and the woman is like, what are these? And then she gets a look on her face and then it, rack focuses and there's her uncle and she's just like, it's him or whatever. Even that is like, we see him, right? Yeah. And she confronts him face to face. Yeah. But she doesn't do anything about it. We don't see it.
Well, she does. So
she gives a police officer
a look.
Sad eyes.
Here's my thing.
I mean...
I felt like it was enough that the police officer got her gist.
The first 2/3 of this movie are good.
Great.
Are legit good.
And then they bring in this beast nonsense and you're like, I'm out.
For the first whole entire part of this movie, I was like, this is an Oscar performance.
For reals.
Believed him. Totally was like, oh, now he's this person.
Yep.
Got it. Like, just the facial thing. Yeah. Even in their therapy sessions when Betty Buckley is, like, making him uncomfortable and, like, Dennis, can we talk? And his, just the slightest twinge in his face and this, like, you can tell, like, it's trying to come out. I was like, I gotta say, I love James McAvoy.
Oh, 100%.
Like, love him. Wish he would get more work. Think he's fabulous.
Absolutely. And now I'm convinced that he can pretty much play any role. Also, like, a sequel of Mrs. Doubtfire with him on board.
Yes. And, like, Pierce Brosnan and Sally Field look the same, so they can fucking still be in it.
What the fuck is up with that? It's got paprika.
So, another thing that is clear through every M. Night Shyamalan movie is that his cameo is absolutely the worst scene in the movie.
Oh. I don't know what he looks like.
So, he was the guy on the computer when Betty Buckley's like, let me get this security footage. He's that guy. And the scenes are always horrible, less well written, awkward, terrible. Like, it's always just like, why is this here?
Right?
It's like it's like a Tarantino cameo, like in Django Unchained, which I have my problems with, but like, when the movie falls off a cliff because he shows up with an Australian accent and you're like, what the fuck is this?
The fuck are you talking about?
It was like that. And Betty Buckley's, like, giving it her all.
Right?
And you're like, why are you here?
That scene made no sense.
No sense.
Why was it there?
Because he's the director and he needed a cameo.
Oh.
But that's always what it feels like whenever his cameo shows up. You're like, this scene, did you just write this today? Like, you're like, oh, fuck, I forgot to write my cameo scene. So one of his personalities is named Hedwig.
Yes.
And is 9 years old?
Yeah.
11?
He's 9.
9 years old.
How old are you?
9?
And he loves Kanye West.
Oh my god.
And there's like a full... I could have watched 20 minutes of this.
Right.
There's a full-blown dance off. Not off, I mean, it's just him.
A dance number.
James McAvoy is just doing everything.
Everything.
And it was so amazing.
Right?
And I was into it. It was like a lot.
A lot.
And I was here for it.
And what's funny is that it was so borderline for me, where I was like, is he dancing or is he like convulsing and turning into a different character?
But it worked. I mean, his accents are worth the price of admission.
Sure.
There's like his Mrs. Doubtfire accent, his
Patricia.
Boston accent, his Lisp accent, his Barry, like everyone
his
was
gay
like,
aspect,
just, and none of them sound, I mean, because we know he has like a Scottish accent in real life.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He really is.
I'm glad I saw this movie for his performance.
For him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the three girls, I did appreciate that they were like on it. That they were like, we're gonna try and fucking escape.
That's some victim shit.
That's some victim shit. We gotta get out of here. Like, in every way, the main girl seemed more prepared to be kidnapped. Like, she's wearing layers, she's got her pants on, walkable shoes, like everything. The other girls are in like stupid circle skirts with like crop tops
and
just
heels.
Like, what you don't want to be in when you're kidnapped, right? And so the OCD guy keeps on being like, give me your shirt, it's dirty. And one girl is literally in a top and panties.
Yep.
And the other girl has jeans, a thermal, a sweatshirt, has a whole shebang.
She was trying to hide her scars, Avaryl.
I get it. But I thought she was a real asshole for not being like, hey girl, you're in your panties, I'm gonna give you this sweatshirt.
Sure.
Because that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Because it's a long sweatshirt, it will cover up your naughty bits. I thought that was fucked up.
That was fucked up.
So the whole movie, there's talk of the Beast. He's
coming.
He's coming. The Beast is coming, and basically it seems like it's going to be his 24th personality. At a certain point, James McAvoy goes full
Hulk?
Jekyll and Hyde, Hulk, werewolf, like juicing. I mean, it was just...
He like turns into like this like big beefy
Spider-Man.
baby. Like he can climb on the walls.
Like, it's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
He's like... like he just like rips up.
It's
like he
so stupid.
He gets all beefed.
It was
And then
so dumb.
turns into like a cannibal.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here to eat like pure children.
It was like a real cool, like interesting study about sort of psychology, and then it like became a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah, that ain't nonsense. You're like, what is this bullshit? Like,
what's this? Like, oh, if you believe hard enough, you can turn into
anything?
a superhero or a supervillain.
I guess. Well, so then they explained that like in this like weird news piece at the end, which we'll get to.
Well, so like there's the end, and then there's like
the end. But so at the end, there's a news piece where they say that like I guess apparently the Beast was an amalgamation of all of the animals at the zoo, which is where he works.
He works at a zoo, which I wish that had been clever.
I wish so too.
Like it was like, because the whole movie you're like, you don't know where he works, but you know that they're being held wherever it is that he works.
Right, and it's like in a basement or whatever.
So you're like, what is this? Is it a fashion house?
Yeah, or like
Barry
like
works
something like
there. What's going on? And so you think, oh, it's going to be something really interesting, and then it's like, oh, he works at a zoo. That's where he's turning into a beast. Great.
He goes and like eats the girls. Why?
Right, so he turns into a cannibal because he's a lion? I don't know. That's why I remember Patricia is like talking about lions, and she's like, they eat their weight in gold or whatever.
Oh,
and the
and
other
tigers.
Like, but then they lose it all, and she's like, oh, clever girl.
That was great. Patricia was really great.
I love Patricia. I did not understand why she was evil. Like, she was a bad one. Is she representative of his mother?
I was gonna guess that.
He knows what you're here for. He listens to me.
This movie felt spread thin.
It was too. It was like, where am I supposed to focus? Is it a story of a girl and her abuser, and now this new abuser?
Right.
Or is it a story of a guy and his abuser, and now how he's abusing? Or is it a story of a doctor and a patient? Or is it a story of a doctor? I don't know.
Yeah, it needed to decide.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you feel like there was like the news had too much information?
Absolutely.
The other reporter is like, His name was Kevin Wendell Crumb. He has a dissociative identity disorder. They're calling him the Horde because he has so many personalities and they come out and this is about the zoo and there was beasts at the zoo. And
There's
so
like
that's why
a lot.
there was like way too much where you're like, they wouldn't put that on the news.
Right?
And then they're calling it the Horde. And then it pans across to these two women and they go, the Horde. That sounds like something from a while ago. The guy in the wheelchair. What was that? And then, like, no joke, Bruce Willis leans forward and is like, Mr. Glass?
They called me Mr. Glass.
And you have no idea what that is.
Nope.
So funny. I laughed so fucking hard. So basically, Mr. Glass is from Unbreakable, which is a different M. Night Shyamalan movie. I think it's the one he did right after Sixth Sense, actually.
Okay.
And it's about Bruce Willis, and he is the only guy on that train that crashes, and he's the only one that survives, and he finds out that he's invincible, and this, that, and the other, and it's sort of like Hancock, but serious, right? Long story short, I read about it, and apparently, so this movie and Unbreakable exist in the same universe, obviously. Bruce Willis was there. And there's talks of doing a third where the Beast is Mr. Glass's supervillain. So this movie's just become the Marvel universe.
Right? What the fuck?
I would say it's still worth it for James McAvoy's performance.
He's
like,
really
like, go
great.
see it knowing it doesn't have a good conclusion.
I mean, if you watching to this point, we spoiler alerted like 12 times.
Well, and I feel like knowing what what happens is stupid. So like knowing what happened maybe wouldn't ruin the movie.
No, maybe not.
Necessarily,
Yeah.
You'd just be like,
You'd appreciate the good parts.
Performance.
Yeah.
Yes, Betty Buckley, you wear those 15 rings. Yes. You get that pashmina in your fabulous
also,
apartment.
Thank you.
The bookshelves.
All of it.
She had a fabulous apartment.
I was like, I want to live in her apartment.
Yes. I maybe wouldn't be mad if this entire movie was therapy sessions between Betty Buckley and James McAvoy with different personalities. That's a movie I'd watch and love.
Right?
And then she gets through to him.
Sure.
Great! Like, it's like my dinner with Andre, but it's my dinner with Betty Buckley, the psychotherapist. Like, I'm not mad about that.
Or even if she doesn't, and at the end he, like, one of the personalities, like, strangles her and murders her.
Sure.
Because she said the wrong thing and whatever.
I still don't
I would be
that,
disappointed, but, like, at least that's realistic. Him turning into some weird supernatural, like, character creature and, like, eating the bowels of these girls was just too much. And killing, like, the doctor and, like, the one friend that literally all 23 characters, except for the Beast, apparently.
Right.
You know, like, knew and loved, including
like,
Dennis and Patricia.
So, like, Kevin wakes up at some point. She says his name and he comes to the front. And he's like, oh God, what have did I do something? And he sees Betty Buckley's body on the floor. And I wanted him to fall apart.
Right.
And just like fall the fuck apart and be like, oh my God, what have I done? This is the only person who I've confided in, and just like completely, you know, be a mess.
And then be like, you should shoot me. Shoot me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot me. Please, because I can't.
And then just have it end like The Fly, where it's just like, you know, she just shoots him in the face.
Sure.
I would have preferred that ending, honestly.
I would have too.
I would have been unsatisfied, but less unsatisfied.
Well, but then also when she looks at him and she shoots him in the face, she sees her uncle.
Yes! Wait, yes!
So wait, I just fixed this movie?
Wait, maybe you just fixed this entire movie.
We did. It was a joint.
It was a joint effort.
Hashtag
Yes!
MovieBitches fixes the movie.
Yes!
That would have been so
It's
much
just, like,
better.
down the barrel of the shotgun, and then it's the uncle crying.
And because her dad was like, always look down the barrel with two eyes, right?
Yes.
So then she's looking at two eyes and it's the
I mean,
uncle.
it would have been very, you know, like, over the top, but I don't care. Better.
Oh, because James
Better.
McAvoy climbing on the walls wasn't over the top? Bitch, please.
No, I think that's terrible. I'm just saying, like,
Right, no,
it
sure.
still would have been, like,
Sure.
melodramatic.
Absolutely,
so
but I
much
don't
better.
care. Yes.
Love. That's how the movie ended. I just rewrote it in my mind.
Exactly.
Oh, it was great. Oh, you should definitely watch
You
it.
should watch it.
Just like watch up until the point when he starts to Hulk out.
Yeah.
And then just turn it off and
Yeah.
imagine the ending we just told you.
Exactly.
Fabulous.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And cheers to James McAvoy.
Really love him.
Love.